They say the world is ruled by kings and conquerors, by those with armies and wealth. But that is a lie. The world has always been ruled by minds, sharpened, disciplined, and ruthless enough to bend chaos into order. The battlefield is not outside you, it is within you. And if you lose there, you will lose everywhere else. Every empire that ever rose began first in the secrecy of thought. Every tyrant, every visionary, every revolutionary, they all mastered their own mind before daring to command others. For the mind is not a servant, it is a throne. Either you sit upon it with authority, or you kneel before it as a slave. You wake each morning with two rulers battling for dominion. One is your will, the part of you that seeks purpose, power, clarity. The other is your weakness, that whispering force that feeds you excuses, that tells you to rest when you should rise, that tempts you to doubt when certainty is required. Most men never recognize this war. They think their thoughts are random, their emotions natural. But those who seek mastery know, every thought is a soldier, every emotion a weapon, every belief a fortress. To master your mind, you must first declare yourself its ruler. You must seize control as if claiming a kingdom in rebellion. For your mind will resist you. It will test your command. It will summon distractions, summon fear, summon comfort disguised as peace. It will deceive you into surrendering. But the true ruler does not negotiate with rebellion, he suppresses it with authority. Understand this, your emotions are not the enemy, but they are not your masters either. They are wild horses, they can drag you to ruin or carry you to greatness. You must learn to guide them not by force but by command. When anger rises, do not drown in it, direct it. Let it become your energy, not your weakness. When fear whispers, do not deny it, confront it. Fear, when obeyed, destroys you. When understood, it sharpens you. Most people are prisoners in their own minds. They repeat the same thoughts, the same doubts, the same anxieties, as if hypnotized by their own powerlessness. They live in cages built by their own beliefs, never realizing the lock was made of illusions. The truth is, your mind obeys the authority you project. It listens to the tone of your inner voice. If you speak to yourself as a beggar, your mind will treat you as one. If you speak as a ruler, your mind will obey. Power begins in language, the language you use with yourself. When you tell yourself, I can't, you are issuing a royal decree of defeat. When you say, I will, you summon the machinery of your entire being to move toward conquest. Every word you whisper to yourself builds or destroys the empire of your mind. And yet, mastery requires more than affirmation. It demands awareness. You cannot rule what you do not understand. Watch your thoughts like a sovereign studies his enemies. Observe the patterns, the triggers, the moments when your strength wavers. Do not judge them, analyze them. Knowledge is the sword of dominion. To know your own weaknesses is to begin disarming them. The undisciplined mind is like a city without walls, open to every invading force. Fear enters. The opinions of others enter, and slowly you lose sovereignty over yourself. But when your mind is fortified, when your focus becomes unshakable, no outside power can rule you. You become immovable. That is the essence of mastery, the ability to remain calm in the storm, focused in confusion, decisive amidst chaos. Do not be deceived by comfort. Comfort is the enemy's disguise. The mind grows soft when unchallenged. It prefers ease to effort, familiarity to progress. Every time you choose comfort over command, your throne weakens. The great rulers of history were not born in luxury. They were forged in conflict, within themselves first. Their strength was not the absence of struggle, but the domination of it. The first victory must always be internal. You cannot command your environment until you have subdued your thoughts. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. The world reflects your inner hierarchy. If your emotions rule you, others will too. But if your will rules your mind, the world bends to your intention. Consider this, your mind is a kingdom filled with voices. Some urge you to act with courage. Others whisper cowardice. Some inspire you to rise, others seduce you to sleep. The weak listen to all voices and obey whichever speaks loudest. The strong listen to all but obey only one. The voice of reason, of discipline, of higher command. The throne of power within you must never be vacant. When you leave it unattended, chaos claims it. When you hesitate, doubt seizes the crown. So sit upon it daily, rule deliberately. Speak your commands clearly. Every thought that arises, question it. Every emotion that surges, direct it. Every impulse, examine its loyalty. Does it serve your vision, or does it serve your weakness? You will find that mastery is not about silencing your thoughts but organizing them. It is not about suppressing emotion but harnessing it. It is not about becoming cold or heartless. It is about becoming unshakable. A ruler does not react, he decides. He does not panic, he plans. And so must you if you are to master your mind. The path to dominion begins with small victories. The discipline to rise when you wish to sleep. The restraint to hold your tongue when anger tempts you to speak. The focus to act when distraction calls. Each small conquest builds the empire of control, And with each act of mastery, your mind learns to bow to your will. There is no magic, no secret, no hidden art, only the relentless choice to rule rather than be ruled. Every day is a coup d'état within your consciousness. Either your weakness seizes the throne or your will does. And each morning you decide who shall reign. Narrator, everything begins in the mind. Every victory, every downfall, every kingdom built and every empire destroyed. All were first born as thoughts. The world may appear to be governed by laws, politics, or power, but that is an illusion. It is the mind that governs all. It is the throne upon which every destiny sits. And yet, most people wander through life like peasants in their own kingdom, bowing to their impulses, enslaved by their emotions, unaware that they are meant to rule. You think the world breaks you. You think circumstances defeat you. But no, it is your own undisciplined mind that weakens you. The storms outside are never as deadly as the storms within. When your thoughts run wild, when your emotions rule unchecked, when your fears become law, you have already lost. For a man ruled by his own chaos cannot rule anything else. Imagine your mind as a vast empire. Within it are provinces of memory, ambition, desire, fear, anger, and joy. Each fights for dominance, each demands attention. If you do not rule, one of them will. The weak man allows fear to sit on his throne. The fool allows pleasure to wear the crown. The lazy man lets comfort command his every move. But the one who masters his mind, he takes the throne and commands the provinces with order, discipline, and purpose. You were not born to be ruled by passing moods. You were born to command them. Yet look at how easily the average person is enslaved. A single insult ruins their day. A minor failure makes them quit. One rejection convinces them they are worthless. They do not see it, but their mind is their tyrant. They obey it blindly, and that obedience is the death of their power. To master the mind is to reclaim the throne. It begins when you stop believing every thought that passes through you. The mind will lie. It will whisper weakness in the voice of reason. It will present fear as caution, doubt as humility, laziness as self-care. You must learn to recognize these disguises. Your mind is clever, but you must be cunning. You must become its ruler, not its victim. Do not expect peace from the beginning. When a ruler takes a throne from chaos, rebellion follows. Your mind will resist you. It will test your resolve with temptation, distraction, and fear. It will demand comfort. It will whisper that discipline is too harsh, that you deserve rest, that it is easier to obey the impulses than to command them. But that voice is the voice of weakness, the enemy within the walls. Mastery begins when you stop negotiating with weakness. The great error of ordinary men is that they think mastery feels good. It does not. Mastery feels like war. It feels like resistance, like fire, like confrontation with the part of yourself that wants to remain asleep. You cannot be gentle with your own chaos. You must be precise, deliberate, ruthless. Only then will the rebellion in your mind quiet down and begin to obey. Your thoughts are your subjects, and they will follow the strength of your authority. Speak with clarity, and they will align. Speak with doubt, and they will scatter. The mind respects power, it obeys direction. When you say, I cannot, your mind bows to that command. When you say, I will, it summons its full army to make it so. Be careful then what orders you give. Every sentence you speak to yourself is a decree in your kingdom. Understand that control does not mean suppression. A good ruler does not silence his advisors, he listens, then decides. When fear speaks, listen, not to obey it, but to understand its source. When anger rises, observe it, not to unleash it blindly, but to channel it with precision. When despair appears, do not deny it, study it. What weakness has allowed it entry? What belief opened the gate? Awareness is your weapon. To rule the mind, you must know its terrain better than any invader. Discipline is your sword. Without it, your mind will rot under indulgence. Every time you surrender to laziness, every time you act from impulse rather than intention, you hand over a piece of your crown. But when you practice restraint, when you rise early despite fatigue, when you stay focused amidst chaos, when you keep your word to yourself, you forge authority. Slowly, your mind learns that you are not to be disobeyed. Most people live as slaves to comfort. They believe comfort is freedom, but it is the most refined form of imprisonment. Comfort chains the mind with invisible links. It kills ambition softly, convinces you that mediocrity is peace. The mind that grows too comfortable becomes dull, slow, cowardly. Power dies in softness. A ruler who seeks only ease soon loses his throne. You must be willing to confront discomfort as a king confronts rebellion, decisively, without hesitation. When the mind complains, you silence it with action. When it resists, you double your effort. You do not reason with weakness, you conquer it. And each time you do, the empire within you expands. Your will grows stronger. Your emotions grow disciplined. The throne becomes stable. Do not look for motivation. Motivation is a servant that arrives when summoned by discipline. When you have ruled your mind long enough, it will learn to serve you loyally. Your thoughts will become allies instead of saboteurs. Your emotions will become tools instead of chains. But this allegiance must be earned daily. Every sunrise is a test of sovereignty. Will you rise in command, or will you obey the whisper that says, "Stay where you are"? The powerful do not have quieter minds. They have stronger ones. They do not escape fear, they dominate it. They do not eliminate doubt, they use it to sharpen clarity. The difference between the weak and the strong is not circumstance, but mastery. One has learned to rule the throne, the other has abandoned it to chaos. And so the first conquest is not over land, not over men, not over fortune. It is over self. When you master your thoughts, you master your emotions. When you master your emotions, you master your choices. And when you master your choices, you command the direction of your life. But this throne cannot be inherited. It must be seized through discipline, maintained through awareness, and protected through constant vigilance. Every thought you allow to linger, every emotion you permit to rule, every hesitation you justify, each one is a political act in the empire of your mind. The question is never whether your mind is ruled. The question is, by whom? Narrator: discipline. The word alone unsettles most minds. It sounds like a cage, a restriction, a kind of self-imposed tyranny. But that is because the undisciplined do not understand freedom. They believe freedom is the ability to do whatever they please. But in truth, freedom without control is merely chaos wearing a mask of liberty. Real freedom, lasting, powerful, indomitable, can only exist under the rule of discipline. You see, greatness does not come to those who wish for it. It comes to those who command themselves into becoming what they must be. Discipline is not a virtue, it is a weapon. It is the silent tyrant that forces you to rise when your body pleads for rest. It is the cold hand that drags you forward when your will begins to tremble. It is not kind, it is not gentle, and it does not seek your comfort. But it is loyal, and it will never betray you. The weak despise discipline because they confuse it with punishment. They believe it robs them of pleasure. But discipline is not the enemy of pleasure, it is the architect of it. Without discipline, pleasure is fleeting, a quick escape, a momentary illusion. But with discipline, pleasure becomes power because it is earned, not stolen. The disciplined man does not chase satisfaction, he creates it on his terms. Understand this. Discipline is not about rules, it is about order. It is the structure that allows chaos to serve purpose. The undisciplined mind is like a city consumed by noise, every desire shouting for attention, every emotion demanding control. Discipline is the ruler who silences the noise, who restores hierarchy within the self. It tells your emotions when to rise and when to kneel. It tells your body when to act and when to rest. It gives everything its place, its time, its measure. Without it, you are not living, you are reacting, and reaction is slavery. Most people are slaves to their impulses. They eat when desire calls, they quit when discomfort whispers, they speak when silence is wiser. They mistake indulgence for authenticity. But to obey every impulse is to hand your crown to chaos. Discipline is what separates the animal from the sovereign. It teaches restraint, and in restraint, it creates strength. The undisciplined chase motivation. They wait to feel ready, to feel inspired, to feel capable. But those who understand mastery know that discipline does not wait for emotion. It commands action. Motivation is a spark, discipline is the furnace. When the spark fades, the disciplined continue. They rise not because they feel like it, but because they decided to. And that decision made again and again builds empires. Discipline begins in the smallest acts. How you wake, how you work, how you think. Every time you say, later, you weaken your authority. Every time you say, no, you sharpen it. Discipline is forged in repetition. It grows in silence unseen, until one day it becomes an unbreakable habit. A force that moves through you without hesitation. The one who lives by discipline does not waste time deciding whether to act. His decision was made long ago. But understand, this discipline is not about cruelty. It is not about denying yourself for the sake of suffering. It is about commanding yourself toward purpose. The disciplined man knows when to push and when to pause. He does not destroy himself in the name of ambition, he molds himself in its service. The weak see discipline as deprivation, the wise see it as refinement. Each act of control polishes the mind, strengthens the will, sharpens the edge. Most fail not because they are incapable, but because they are inconsistent. They start strong, they burn bright, and then they fade when comfort returns. They are not defeated by others, they are betrayed by their own lack of order. The disciplined never rely on feelings to dictate progress. They build systems, rituals, and habits that do not bend to mood. They rise whether they are tired or restless, calm or anxious. Because discipline does not negotiate, it commands. Every time you break your own word, your mind loses respect for you. Each broken promise to yourself erodes the foundation of trust between will and action. But each time you honor your word, even in small things, you fortify your rule. Discipline is not just about control, it is about credibility. The disciplined man is one whose own mind believes him. That belief becomes unstoppable momentum. Do not expect applause for discipline. It is not loud. It does not seek praise or recognition. It is a quiet, relentless force. While others sleep, it works. While others celebrate, it refines. It is invisible in the beginning, but its results are undeniable. The disciplined build their future in silence, and when the time comes, their success roars louder than any excuse ever made against it. And make no mistake, discipline is painful. It is supposed to be. Growth is not born from comfort but from conflict. Every time you choose the harder path, you declare war on weakness. And with every victory, no matter how small, the voice of weakness grows quieter. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the power it brings lasts as long as you maintain your rule. There will be days when the weight of discipline feels unbearable. When the mind rebels, when the body aches, when temptation whispers that one day off will not matter. But discipline does not measure itself by convenience, it measures itself by commitment. The undisciplined ask, "What do I feel like doing?" The disciplined ask, "What must be done?" One question leads to stagnation, the other leads to mastery. To live without discipline is to live at the mercy of chance. You will rise and fall according to emotion, drifting wherever impulse takes you. But to live with discipline is to live by design. Every action becomes intentional. Every decision carries weight. Every day becomes a brick in the fortress of your will. And when the storms come, as they always do, you will stand unshaken, not because you are fearless, but because you are fortified. Discipline does not seek balance, it enforces it. It teaches you to sacrifice the temporary for the eternal, to delay gratification, to endure hardship with purpose. It demands order in your chaos and precision in your passion. It is the invisible monarch that rules without mercy but with absolute fairness. It will not flatter you, it will not soothe you, but it will make you powerful beyond measure. And so, discipline becomes the silent tyrant of greatness, the unseen hand behind every empire, every genius, every victor. It does not shout, it does not boast, it simply commands, and those who obey rise above the rest. The narrator's tone deepens, deliberate, commanding, the voice of someone who has conquered himself and now teaches others to do the same. The narrator, the greatest conquest is not of nations, not of armies, not even of the will of others. The greatest conquest is the dominion of the self. Every man who has ever risen above mediocrity, every mind that has reshaped the world, first learned to rule the kingdom within. The untrained imagine power as control over others, but that is the illusion of the weak. True power, lasting power, begins in the silent strategy of inner dominion. You are both the ruler and the territory. Your thoughts are your citizens, your emotions your generals, your habits your soldiers. And like any empire, the self must be governed, not by impulse, but by design. Most men live without design. They are at the mercy of moods, swayed by circumstance, enslaved by desire. They respond, they react, they drift, but they never rule. They have armies within them, yet they have never issued a single command. Inner dominion is the art of strategy turned inward. It is not the denial of emotion, but the orchestration of it. It is not the suppression of desire, but the alignment of desire with purpose. It is not about perfection. It is about control, deliberate, calculated control. The ruler within you must learn to study himself as a strategist studies the battlefield. Every weakness must be charted, every strength exploited, every obstacle transformed into advantage. To dominate yourself is not to become rigid but adaptable. Strategy requires motion. It requires that you anticipate your own tendencies, your own sabotage, your own limits. The mind that does not study itself is easily deceived. The one who does becomes unpredictable even to his old self. This is power, to be so aware of your patterns that you can rewrite them at will. You must understand, the war within never ends. The enemy is not a single force but a legion, comfort, fear, doubt, ego, distraction. They take turns attacking your will, whispering false victories into your ear. And every time you believe them, every time you surrender to their charm, your empire weakens. But the wise ruler knows how to turn his enemies into servants. Fear becomes vigilance, doubt becomes analysis, pain becomes endurance. Even weakness, when understood, becomes a tool of growth. To master this strategy, you must first adopt detachment. The one who rules himself does not drown in emotion, he observes it. When anger rises, he does not explode. He studies its direction, uses its energy with precision. When pride swells, he does not fall victim to its sweetness. He questions it, tempers it, turns it into dignity rather than arrogance. When despair knocks, he does not open the door in pity. He listens, learns, and sends it away empty-handed. Detachment is not indifference, it is command through clarity. Most people live as hostages to their own feelings. They mistake reaction for authenticity, chaos for passion. But passion without control is destruction. Fire without boundaries consumes everything it touches. The strategist of the self understands that power lies not in suppression, but in redirection. You do not extinguish the fire, you use it to forge steel. You do not run from the storm, you learn to ride its wind. Inner dominion is also the mastery of perception, for what you perceive determines what you pursue. When you see obstacles, you hesitate. When you see opportunity, you advance. The world is not fixed, it bends according to the shape of your perception. The weak see resistance and retreat, the ruler sees resistance and plans. Every event, every hardship, every betrayal, all are pieces on the board. The one who rules his mind learns to move them, not mourn them. Strategy demands foresight. You cannot rule today if you are a slave to the present moment. The impulsive man acts for comfort, the strategic man acts for victory. He endures what must be endured now to rule what others cannot later. He sees 10 steps ahead, not in arrogance, but in preparation. The disciplined ruler of the self does not chase pleasure nor flee pain. He calculates, he endures, he builds. There is a reason most men never rise. They spend their lives fighting external wars while losing the internal one. They blame circumstance, fate, others, never realizing that the throne they seek sits inside their own mind. They chase wealth, power, validation, thinking mastery lies beyond them. But when they reach the summit, they discover the same chaos within, and chaos cannot be escaped, it can only be ruled. To achieve inner dominion, one must learn the art of silence. The mind that never pauses, never reflects, is unfit to command. In silence, you see the map of yourself. You see where desire distorts judgment, where ego blinds clarity, where fear masquerades as logic. Silence reveals the battlefield. Only then can strategy begin. The ruler who acts without awareness is no ruler at all. He is a pawn in his own game. There will be times when your mind revolts against you. It will test your control, challenge your order, tempt you with indulgence. But remember, the strongest rulers are not those who never face rebellion, but those who crush it without mercy. You must be willing to discipline yourself as you would an empire on the verge of collapse. With precision, with patience, and with unwavering authority. Strategy of inner dominion means knowing when to advance and when to retreat. There are battles you cannot win today. There are habits too strong to destroy in one strike. The wise ruler does not waste his army, he weakens the enemy slowly, isolates it, then conquers it completely. So too with the self, change comes not from fury but from patience. Gradual domination is more permanent than sudden victory. But beware of complacency. Once the mind begins to obey, once emotions start to align, the greatest danger appears: pride. Pride is the assassin of mastery. It whispers that you are done, that you have conquered, that the war is over. The moment you believe it, chaos regroups. Old weaknesses return with new disguises. The ruler who stops learning invites rebellion. The strategist who stops watching his own borders invites invasion. So, maintain awareness as your watchtower. Remain the observer, the commander, the student of your own kingdom. The mind is vast, and every victory reveals new terrain to govern. Strategy must evolve as you do. The man who masters his mind today must learn to remaster it tomorrow, for the throne is never secure. It must be defended every dawn. Inner dominion is not a single act, but a continuous campaign. It is the endless art of turning reaction into intention, impulse into command, emotion into strategy. It is to live as both warrior and ruler, engaged in the battle and watching it from above. The one who can do both cannot be defeated. You were not meant to drift through life reacting to everything that happens to you. You were meant to rule yourself so completely that nothing external can overthrow your inner order. To think strategically about yourself is to become untouchable. For when you control your perception, your focus, your habits, and your responses, no power on earth can truly command you. This is the final secret of power that the world hides in plain sight. Mastery of the outer world is granted only to those who first master the inner one. And the strategy to achieve that mastery is not written in books or learned from others. It is written in the discipline you practice, the awareness you cultivate, and the choices you command every single day. You have heard it now. The laws of power not written in stone or scripture, but carved in the silence of the mind. The weak seek to rule others, to command attention, to bend the world with noise. But the wise know, the world is only a mirror, and the true battlefield lies within. To master your mind is to seize the throne of existence itself. For thought precedes action, belief precedes destiny, and chaos bows only to those who govern themselves. When your mind obeys your will, the world begins to shift in your favor. It is not magic. It is mastery. Remember this truth: the mind unruled will betray you. It will waste your time, dilute your strength, enslave you to moods and habits. But the mind ruled with discipline, forged in awareness, refined by strategy, that mind becomes a weapon sharper than any blade. It cuts through fear, through doubt, through hesitation, and clears the path to power. You are not meant to live as a servant to impulse or emotion. You were born to command yourself, to build your life with precision, to turn thought into creation. Every empire began in a single mind. Every legend was once a man who refused to be ruled by weakness. The same crown waits for you, but it cannot be given, it must be claimed, so stand as ruler of your own dominion. Govern your thoughts as a king governs his realm, firmly, wisely, without mercy for what weakens you. Rule your emotions not by denying them, but by directing them. Let discipline be your iron law and let perception be your weapon, for once you master your inner empire, the outer world will kneel in time. Master your mind and you will conquer your life. Not by chance, not by luck, but by command.